Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Rolling with the Punches. Today we have a special guest. It's Ken Thompson from Thompson'S Boxing Promotions. Ken, how are you doing today, sir?
Never better. That's how we're doing here.
Well, I thank you for coming on the show, and myself and David Contreras, who will introduce himself right after I'm done here. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we're going to ask you a couple questions on kind of your past, current, and some future topics. So right now, David, out there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, are you out there?
Most definitely, Jaime. Ken, I'm originally from San Diego. I was actually born in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. At the age of 6 months old, we moved to San Diego, and I was raised in San Diego. So I'm a San Diego. I call myself a San Diego native. A year ago, I moved here to Fort Lauderdale. So now I'm covering the East Coast, and Jaime is covering the West Coast. And welcome to our show, sir. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much. You know, you came really from Southern California at its very south end, so that's great.
Exactly. I couldn't go farther south. Exactly. Jaime, go ahead.
Yeah. So Ken, basically, we're going to get right to it. How did you end up getting into the business? I know that you're a very successful entrepreneur with other businesses, very successful, like I mentioned. But what made you get into boxing? What was that deciding factor that you just jumped in and started just taking care of business, building many world champions? And we'll get into some of those champions as we talk in this interview. But that's basically my first question: is how'd you get involved in boxing?
Well, Jaime, I was always a fan for boxing all my life. So, you know, once you're involved in boxing as a fan, you live and breathe it, which is fabulous. And attending all the fights at the Olympic and then later the Great Western Forum, I got to know all of the lifetime people, ex-fighters, people with World Boxing Hall of Fame. And once I got to know them, they invited me on the board of the World Boxing Hall of Fame. Then I became president. Alex Campanovo, who was just graduating as a journalist, came to work for the Hall of Fame as the managing director. And we inducted people from all over the world. It was a fabulous event. And it was an organization that lasted some 20-some years. I was president for 4 years. So during those 4 years, we brought in, well, Jose Suleiman, we inducted him, and every Don King, all of them, everybody. And they came from all over the world. So we got a great connection with all of the past presidents of other groups, promoters, fighters, and we loved it. And what I didn't know is when I became president that the World Boxing Hall of Fame was a nonprofit organization. So you have to come up with some way to make money for the organization. I thought, well, since we know everybody in boxing now, all around the world, we'll start promoting for the benefit of the Hall of Fame. So that's what we did. We started 20 years ago, to actually 21 years ago with that group. And so for the last year that I was in the Boxing Hall of Fame, we promoted. When I left the Hall of Fame, I continued promoting because we already had the company set up. So it worked out beautifully. And we were doing our promotions at the Doubletree in Ontario, where we've been there now. This is our 20th year. So during that period of time, we had 12 fights set up. And we had a program for the whole year. And then we would do fights in Corona and Sacramento, Salinas. So all these years, and we've developed, you know, quite a following. We developed 6 world champions, and we start them from finish. We turn them pro as young guys, and then work them all the way through, which is a little different than what a lot of the promoters do. A lot of your big guys like Bob Arum and Don King and De La Hoya, they buy fighters after they're already up on top. We do it just the opposite. And it worked great for us because, you know, the cradle of boxing is California, LA, and the Inland Empire. Some of the greatest fighters in the world, Timothy Bradley, which we'll be talking about in a moment, and Danny Ramon, who is our most recent world champion, East LA, born and raised in East LA. So all these guys, you know, we get to know them. All of the people in boxing, we got to know in Japan, where we fought many, many fights, won the world championship, defended 2 or 3 times there, England, and all over the United States. So it's been a great run for us, 20-some years, and we've enjoyed every year of it. So that's awesome. That's how I got involved.
Wow. That's impressive.
Man,
Yeah.
Ken, what a blessing to be able to give to these young men and to see them grow. I mean, literally, I mean, all these young men who are now champions, these six, I mean, Timothy Bradley, Danny Roman, and all the others that you mentioned. I
Right.
mean, you saw them literally as little kids coming into the gym, and they became future. They became not future. They became world champions. And I think that's a big that's a big blessing to you, to your family, and to your staff for donating your time for mentoring these young men. Thank you very much on behalf of all of us. Thank you very much. It's an
Well,
honor.
we enjoy it, believe me when I tell you. So what we would do is we would see something, a young guy coming up, we keep our eye on him, and the managers would come to us. So then we would turn him pro, and away we'd go. And what we look for is in a fighter his character, his involvement in it, his interest, discipline, and also, the people that he surrounds himself with, his family, his manager, his trainer. And once you see a young man who has done it right to that point,
Mhm.
then we get behind him, because it costs a lot of money to get a guy up to the world championship. Once you get up there, then they make good money, and you recover some of yours. But to be honest with you, more than anything, it's a real pleasure to see somebody with a lot of character become a world champion, because that's what makes boxing the best. Once you see them in the ring and representing you and your staff and your company and boxing at that level, it really is a nice feeling.
Well, I'll tell you, Ken. We interviewed two of your fighters. One of them, we interviewed Danny Roman and also Giovanni Santillan. And it's funny, every time after we those two interviews, as soon as we clicked stop, I would call Jaime and I would say, "What outstanding young men!" I mean, the character that they have. They speak very well. Their demeanor, their work ethic, and I think that they owe it a lot to you, to the legacy that you're building in preparing future fighters, future champions for the future. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we really truly enjoy it ourselves. And
Perfect.
You know,
two of the very best. When you mentioned Giovanni Santillan,
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the best fighters out there right now at 147 pounds. Fabulous fighter. He's got a great group of people around him. His father's with him, has been with him since day one, and they're all deeply involved in boxing. And as you can see, he's committed totally.
Yes,
Danny
yes.
Ramon, all his life, he's been a fighter, all his life. And he's had Eddie Gonzalez as his trainer and manager that whole period of time. It just can't be beat when you get quality people that get involved in it. To be honest with you, David, years back when we were just fans ourselves, I would be going to the Great Western Forum to watch all those fighters. And they had a big luncheon one day, and they were going to present some of their up-and-coming fighters. They had a heavyweight on the show that day, and he was 17-0. He told his life story about how he grew up in LA and what happened and the whole thing. And so they asked if there are any questions, and I said, "So how many fights did you have as a young man growing up?" And he said, "I've never had a fight in my life except in the ring. Never." And I was shocked. I was thinking, because a lot of people believe that fighters are hooligans, and they're not hooligans.
No.
They're young men who are more dedicated to their sport and to their life than just about anybody else. And I was
Exactly.
amazed at that, because I'd really never thought of it that way. And since that time, I always keep that in mind. I always ask our fighters, "So as you're growing up, have you had a lot of trouble, any fight?" And the majority of them say, "Never had a fight, never." And then I realized they're building their confidence in their life as they're trained. And if they've got a good trainer, a group of people around them, a good family, they don't have to get out on the street and fight and run around with a bunch of thugs. They know where they are, and they're very confident in their life. And that takes them all the way through their life, because they're a different breed of people. They are developed young guys who feel good about themselves, and they develop friends in this boxing that last forever.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Ken, one of the things that your boxers are probably going to tell you, especially, I mean, those two individuals, Roman and Santillan, is during our interview, I mean, just to see their work ethic and just to see how honest they were, I immediately started recruiting them after they retired from boxing to become San Diego police officers. I told them, hey, listen, you would be a great cop someday. Please consider, take my name and number, and I'll help you get hired by San Diego PD. And we don't just hire anybody. We hire people that have morals, that have ethics, and that are good people. And I saw that in both of those two individuals. So
Well,
when
you
they
saw them.
retire, please keep that in mind.
That's right. You saw the best, and they would be the best that San Diego could ever get their hands on.
Yes, they would.
And you know, since you mentioned that, a lot of the fighters that start and then for some reason give it up for whatever reason, and we determined that they were a high quality guy that just didn't want to go any further. We've hired them. I've got like 5 or 6 fighters working for me at our construction company that came to work, you know, came to us as a boxer, went all the way through. Danny Hernandez, who was 8-0, and he got shot in the back of the head at a party one night, and that ended his career. He's been working for us for 10, 12 years. Carlos Bojorquez, who was the very first fighter that ever fought a main event for us, he's been working for us for years.
Really?
And,
I remember Carlos Bojorquez.
Oh,
Yes.
there's so many. Yeah, there's so many good
Chito.
guys out there.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing that I have noticed always that a good quality guy in fighting that has his act together is always good in whatever they do. So since they left boxing, they come to work for us, quality guys. Josecito Lopez's brother, Ralphie, he fought for us 9-1. And when he finally finished, he came to work for us for years, which is, you know, really fabulous.
That's
So,
awesome.
And,
Yeah.
and that shows a lot of your it shows a lot of your character, what you do. That it just shows that you're just not a promoter. You truly care for these individuals. Lifelong love for these fighters. And talking about your promotion, one of the things that comes to my mind, there's a saying that says that behind every great man is twice as good of a woman behind a man. But at the same time, as a promoter, a great promoter has a great matchmaker. And I know from the very beginning, I started seeing all the promotional fights you had all the way going back 20 years ago. And I was honored to see such fighters as Josecito fight, Arreola fight, many of the fighters that we mentioned earlier, Tim Bradley and so forth, through your promotional company. And Alex did a beautiful job matchmaking and creating some explosive fights. I remember there was a time that Floyd Mayweather Sr. and myself went after one of our events in San Bernardino, and we went and saw one of your fight cards. And at the end of the night, he was telling me that, man, I wasn't expecting these explosive fights here. And I said, every fight card is explosive here at Thompson's. And it just, you just got a great team, man. And that's why I think you're so successful, and you're just growing every year. And it just proves who you are. And I just think it's awesome to see true quality and a true heart for them, not just the fighters, but the fight game, the whole production, the whole promotion is, man, you're a class act, my friend.
Well, thank you. And to be honest with you, you pointed out one thing. Alex Campanovo is one of the best matchmakers and general managers anybody could have. He was the youngest man ever inducted to the Hall of Fame, as a matter of fact. So at the very beginning of this, we said, if you're going to fill the seats with fans, you have to fill the ring with high quality fighters, exciting fighters, somebody that really wants, people go to see them and follow them all the way through their careers. And that's what we've tried to do. It's like Timothy Bradley. When we turned him pro, we always put very tough fights for him. He never had any easy fights. You know, that's what you see a lot of, is somebody gives them somebody that they can beat very easily, and it's really not exciting. But with Bradley, always top quality fighters. So he showed himself from the very beginning, along with Danny and so many others. It's just like, you cannot short the public. If you short your fans, they won't be there. But if you put high quality fighters in the ring, you're going to have high quality fans. We've had 20 years of boxing at the Doubletree, and almost every show has been a sold out show from the very first, which is fabulous. And sponsors, we have some of the greatest sponsors there are. We picked up guys that had never been sponsoring in boxing. Makita Tool Company, they're a Japanese-owned company, privately owned, fabulous company. They jumped behind us, so they give us a night. Henry's, which is, the asphalt company, they're in it, have never been in it before. So you get high quality companies that get behind you that make this thing happen. And what really makes it good for us today is that since it's COVID has shut down everybody, the only fights you can have are in a bubble. And there's very few people that can do that because you have no way of raising any money. You have no ticket sales. And most people have backed away from it. The networks aren't really pushing it unless it's, with one of the very big ones like Al Heyman or Golden Boy or Top Rank. So you've got to come up with something. And the way we did it was with great sponsors. So we've had three fights. Our next fight will be December 20th at the Omega Center in Corona. So that'll be a great night that night, and that's just around the corner. But we had one pay-per-view this year, 2 free fights, and you can see these fights of ours now on thompsonboxing.com, Facebook, YouTube. Next fight coming up is going to be a great one. We have Ruben Torres is going to fight the main event. Sal Sanchez is going to fight the semi-main, and Richard Brewer is going to fight the walk-up. We have 3 fights that night. All these fighters, we've started from the very beginning. All of them are high-quality fighters. 2 of them are undefeated. Sal Sanchez just knocked his last opponent out in 2 minutes, 47 seconds a month ago. And you probably saw that fight. Well, he's only had 1 loss. His next fight will be for a championship. So after we get through with this, hopefully it starts opening up again. But during the interim, we're having our bubble and we keep it going. This will be our 4th fight this way.
So the fight this 20th coming up, that will be able to we'll be able to watch that on your app you have or your YouTube?
That's right. Thompsonboxing.com. You can go right on the app. We've done a lot of interviews with a lot of the fighters, so you'll be able to see all that. It's on a Sunday at 4 o'clock, when things are a little quiet for people because there aren't anything to watch today. Sunday at 4 o'clock on December 20th. It's a free fight. Three fights that night, and it's going to be fabulous card. Doesn't cost you a dime. All you got to do is push the button.
That's right.
And so what we need to do, Jaime, we need to publicize it on our show. We need to make sure that the thompsonboxing.com so people could watch it.
Absolutely. We'll put it right now on the
right.
We'll put it on the bottom right now when we edit
definitely.
it.
Okay, December 20th, 4 o'clock that Sunday, you'll be able to watch the greatest night of your life. Free, which is nice. And what that does, it keeps all of our fighters busy, which that's a big part of boxing. If you let these guys sit at home too long, they start withering away. So they're all training, they're all in the game, and they're fighting on our cards. And we've also, since we've got our fighters up and running, other people, like Top Rank, for example, have lost a couple fights because guys either testing positive or just for whatever happened, they can call us and pick a fighter up real quick, which is really good for other fight promoters. And we all work together. Every single promoter in this business works together.
Beautiful.
Ken, one last question, since time's already on our backs, is this. Give us your prediction on the Canelo versus Callum Smith. That fight's coming up in 2 weeks. What's your prediction on that fight?
Well, I'm a Canelo fan, so I would have to always go with him. He's the greatest fighter in the world. This young guy is just unbelievable. No matter where he goes, what he does, he's on top. So I got to say that Canelo is my pick always.
Is it going to be a unanimous decision, or is it going to be a knockout?
Well, you never know with him. I mean, the power puncher, if he gets close to you, we had our fighter fight him, Josecito Lopez.
I remember that fight.
After he beat Victor Ortiz, he stepped up and fought Canelo. And he can tell you stories about what it's like to get hit by that boy.
But Josecito went up like 1 or 2 weight classes, right, to fight him.
He went from 147 to 154.
Oh, okay. Went up 1 weight. I remember that fight. Yeah, the Riverside Rocky. What a great fight.
That's right. And to be honest with you, David, Josecito Lopez fought last Saturday night.
Oh, I saw that fight. Yeah,
that was a good fight. Every single fight, even though he's 36 years old, is better than his last fight. He's one of those kind of guys that always moves up. If he had been at this level, when he was 25 years old,
Yeah.
he would have dominated. But every fight he gains, and surely he will get a world championship fight. And I hope he does, because he is definitely world-class fighter and deserves a belt.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell you,
he's-
when he fought Thurman, I gave it to Josecito. I had Josecito winning.
I did
What a
too.
fight when he fought Thurman, huh?
I thought he won the fight without
Me too.
hands
Yeah.
down.
Exactly. Yeah. Jaime, let's wrap it up.
Hey, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of touch a little bit on the Canelo before we shut down here. A lot of people think that it's going to be an easy fight because people are forgetting that guy he's fighting. He's a world champion. He wasn't handpicked, and there's a lot of haters out there that don't like Canelo, and for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, just like Ken said, that guy's hand is raised up in the air. He's also a fighter that I see, even after taking the loss early in his career with Mayweather, he learned from that. And he took that loss, and to me, his defense is on fire right now. That boy has a great defense, and like Ken said, man, that power, it just keeps on growing. So I think we're going to see that boy for a long time. I think the fight's going to be a good fight, but at the end of the day, I know Canelo's going to win. He's just on top right now. I know Crawford and a couple other fighters are up there as the pound for pound best, but right now, I think with the quality of fighters that Canelo has fought in the championships in the different weight categories, you can't take away the pound for pound right now from that guy.
That's right. No, to be honest with you, he's the best out there. No question about it. He's just unbeatable, to be honest with you. You mentioned Floyd Mayweather. I think that was probably the biggest mistake that they ever made, is fighting at that level, at that time in his life. Today might be a different outcome, but you're right. He did learn from that. And once you take the first loss, then you're not on the edge every fight wondering if you're going to. You get that behind you. Now you go on to win. And
And that's the best. If you're going to lose, that's the best guy to lose.
yeah, you're right about that. I would think that Floyd Mayweather, without question, he just is 1 in a million. He's like the Magic Johnson of boxing, and he's unbeatable. Unbeatable.
Yeah.
One last thing, and we'll call it. I know I keep on saying that, but talking about Floyd Mayweather, what is up with these fights with YouTube stars and all that? I think that's just really deflating the true the legitimacy of the fight business. I hate seeing it going a little bit WWF, and
Right.
I don't know. To me, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth right now.
Well, really, to be honest with you, it's the worst thing that ever happened. I mean, people want to see boxing, and they follow these boxers. They know what fighting is all about. You can't bring in YouTube guys and pay them a big chunk of change just because they're going to be promoted by the Zone, and that's really where it started. And I think that was the biggest mistake of their life. Instead of focusing where the fans want you to focus, they went off for entertainment. Entertainment, you can get that on any channel, but you can only get great boxing on boxing channels. That was a mistake on their part. And to be honest with you, they paid dearly for it, because Matchroom is a great organization in Europe, but they stumbled here. They got Canelo and a couple other guys, but they didn't follow through, and they didn't stay the course the way you have to. You've got to be in the game, and you got to be in it to win it. You can't get sidetracked with entertainment. If you're going to do entertainment, bring on Lady Gaga, but people watch that, but they're not going to watch your YouTube guys, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, Ken, thank you very much for being on our show. It's an honor to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you throughout the years, and next time I'm down south, I'm going to definitely stop by. We'll go have a steak, and I'd love just to sit down for hours and just to hear the stories that you have. And like I said, we're going to be starting that investigation, that cold case. So I will definitely be calling you to get your opinion and your help to help us solve that case. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Anything
Good
else?
luck on it.
Thank
Well,
you.
if we don't, I'm gonna catch you on the 20th, of course. I'm gonna watch those. I love free fights. I love anything free.
Right.
But some free fights, man, you can't beat that.
That's
So
right.
I'm gonna see you then. But you have a great Christmas, the great holiday. Stay safe out there. I know it's a crazy time, and hopefully, we can grow together on with future, some of your fighters. We would love for you to reach out to us and see who you would like us to help out a little bit and do some shows and interviews and just help each other with different cross social media promotion. So we thank you, and from the bottom of my heart,
Well,
I just want to thank you.
Right, no problem. But one that you definitely want to interview is Ruben Torres. He's exactly the same quality of fighter as you just mentioned, Danny, Tim Bradley. He is fabulous. So if you get a chance, do an interview with him, you'll be very happy.
Yeah,
We will definitely
email
do
us
that.
his info.
Yeah,
Okay.
send us his info if you don't mind. We'll bring him on the show.
Count on it.
All right. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Ken.
Thank
Take
you.
it easy. Thank you.
Okay.